Hello everyone, my name is Cherie. In this video, I'll be sharing with you what I watched in the month of June. In honor of Caribbean American Heritage Month, as well as LGBT Pride Month, I focused on films with Caribbean locations or LGBTQ characters. But before we get into the features, here are the shorts. In an effort to watch a narrative film from every year, I viewed 6 silent movies on YouTube. After the Ball, The Bath from 1897, Pygmalion and Galathea, and The Astronomer's Dream, both from 1898, Pierrette's Escapades from 1900, finally The Haunted Curiosity Shop and Peeping Tom, or Par le Trou de la Serrure, both from 1901. These are all very short and have slight stories. Pierrette's Escapades is notable for being made by Alice Guy, the first female film director. My favorites were The Astronomer's Dream, The Haunted Curiosity Shop, and Peeping Tom. An American in Paris from 1951 is the first of 6 Gene Kelly musicals I watched this month. In this one, he plays a struggling American painter in Paris who is discovered by an influential heiress who likes more than just his paintings. He in turn falls for a young French girl who is already engaged to a cabaret singer. The climax of the film is a 17-minute ballet featuring Gene Kelly and Leslie Caron, set to George Gershwin's jazz-influenced orchestral piece titled An American in Paris. I watched this years ago and did not give it very high marks. My film professor at the time reminded me that it was a landmark film, having won 6 Academy Awards including Best Picture and Best Story and Screenplay. I was hopeful that on rewatch I would appreciate it more, but alas, I didn't. The protagonist was kind of passive and a bit of a heel. I can't believe it won the Screenplay Oscar over the also nominated Ace in the Hole, a far superior story. Anchors Aweigh from 1945 was a first-time watch for me, and I couldn't believe I'd never seen it. It was great! The plot concerns 2 sailors on shore leave in Hollywood who meet a little boy trying to enlist in the Marines and his young aunt, an aspiring singer, working as a background extra. The film contains all the standard Gene Kelly musical tropes: fantasy sequence, Gene pretending he's a female character to help out his friend, and culturally appropriated choreography. The performances were great. The script was interesting. It won the Academy Award for Best Score and was nominated for Best Picture. It's a really fun time. I'm definitely going to watch Anchors Aweigh again. Asteroid City is the first of 3 films I saw in the cinema in June. Set in 1955, the story follows a group of students and parents at a junior stargazer convention in the desert. This has garnered mixed reviews. I originally went to the cinema to watch Elemental, but the screening was for sight-impaired people, so I picked the only other early option, which was Asteroid City. Bad choice. There was something wrong with the speaker system, which wasn't completely fixed, even though I complained twice. But I don't think that's why I didn't love the movie. It was gorgeous to look at, the performances were stellar, the script was creative. It just wasn't my cup of tea. Brigadoon is a 1954 musical about 2 Americans who stumble upon a small Scottish village that's not on the map and where the inhabitants behave as if they were still living 200 years in the past. I love Scotland, but unfortunately you can tell this was shot in a studio with a painted backdrop of the Highlands. It's neither a great film nor a horrible one. It's kind of forgettable. This was actually my second watch, but I'd forgotten I'd seen it before. It's probably also my final watch. The Children's Hour is a 1961 drama set in an all-girls boarding school run by 2 women. When an angry student runs away and doesn't want to be sent back, she tells her grandmother that the 2 headmistresses are having an affair, an accusation that puts the women and the school in jeopardy. This film is full of wonderful performances by Audrey Hepburn, Shirley MacLaine, and James Garner. It's based on a 1934 play by Lillian Hellman, who also co-wrote the script. If you like disturbing dramas, you'll like The Children's Hour. Cool Runnings is a 1993 sports comedy based on a true story. When a Jamaican sprinter is disqualified from the Olympic Games, he enlists the help of a dishonored coach to start the first Jamaican bobsled team. This was really cute. I'd heard about it for years and was never able to watch it until I found the DVD at a library sale. It's definitely aimed more at kids than adults, but I enjoyed the ride. Disobedience from 2017 follows a woman who returns to her Orthodox Jewish community for her father's funeral. There she rekindles a romance with an old friend. This movie really sucked me in. I loved the performances by Rachel Weisz and Rachel McAdams. The story was really engaging. As I was watching it, I thought it would definitely end up on my favorites list. Then the spit scene happened. If you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't, let this be a warning. If you're like me and don't enjoy seeing bodily fluids on screen, don't watch this movie. It's really gross. I'm never going to watch Disobedience again. Erin Brockovich, released in 2000, was a third-time watch for me. It's really good. Julia Roberts plays an unemployed single mother who becomes a legal assistant and helps take down PG&E for polluting a city's water supply. This was nominated for Best Picture but lost to Gladiator. However, Julia Roberts did take home the Best Actress Oscar. The movie is based on a true story, and I gotta say, the world needs more fighters like Erin Brockovich. Fall came out in 2022, and I unfortunately missed it in the theater. It's a survival thriller that follows two women who climb a 2,000-foot tall broadcasting tower, then become stranded at the top. I was on the edge of my seat for most of this movie, and I can only imagine how I would have felt watching it on the big screen. Fall is a definite rewatch for me. The Flash standalone film was finally released in 2023. Barry Allen, aka The Flash, uses his superpowers to travel back in time in order to change events of the past, which is always a bad idea. I really enjoyed this film. It's received a lot of negative reviews, but I had a great time watching it in D-Box. The script was written by Christina Hodson, who also penned Bumblebee and Birds of Prey, and I really like her writing. The cast was fun, and the new iteration of Supergirl worked for me, even though she wasn't blonde. We need more blonde superheroines. It's interesting that this isn't the only summer event movie to include time travel in its plot. We'll get to the next one soon. Frozen from 2013 and Frozen 2 from 2019 follow royal siblings in the wintry north. In the first, a princess must learn to control her magical powers, which have damaged her relationship with her sister and threatened to destroy the kingdom. In the sequel, set 3 years hence, the sisters embark on a journey beyond their kingdom in order to discover the origin of the queen's magical powers. I really enjoy both of these movies, and they were second-time watches. The characters are fun and the visuals are stunning. I'm happy to have these in my collection. 2006's Idiocracy follows an everyday Joe who takes part in a year-long hibernation experiment. But when he wakes up, he discovers 500 years have passed, and the average intelligence of humans has decreased so much that he is now the smartest man in the world. This one had me giggling through most of it and laughing out loud a fair number of times. It was directed and co-written by Mike Judge, the creator of Beavis and Butthead, so you can get a sense of the kind of humor it contains. The cast is great, but I have to shout out Justin Long's idiot doctor character. I wish he had been in it more. Idiocracy. It's got electrolytes. Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny is the second time travel movie I saw in theaters this summer. Archaeologist Indiana Jones races against time to retrieve a legendary artifact that can change the course of history. Harrison Ford is back with a handful of new sidekicks and cameos by old sidekicks. I had a blast watching this in D-Box. It's received mixed reviews, similar to The Flash, but I enjoyed the ride and plan to see it in the theater again. The opening sequence's de-aging on both Harrison Ford and Mads Mikkelsen was really good in my opinion. This felt like a classic Indiana Jones action-adventure movie. Is it a perfect script? No, but I'd rank Dial of Destiny at number 3 in the Indiana Jones quintology. My Beautiful Laundrette was released in 1985 and has the look and feel of a quintessential 80s movie. The film follows an ambitious Pakistani Briton and his white boyfriend as they renovate a rundown laundromat. The movie is more about the conflict between race and class than it is about the gay and straight communities. Although he had acted in a few films before this, My Beautiful Laundrette introduced the world to Daniel Day-Lewis. I honestly think this is my favorite performance of his, maybe because he's allowed to smile. I thought this was a beautiful film and definitely recommend it. My Own Private Idaho came out in 1991 and stars Keanu Reeves and River Phoenix as two street hustlers in Portland, Oregon. It's loosely based on Shakespeare's works Henry IV and Henry V, but the characters speak in regular voices except for one eccentric character who sounds like he's reading lines from a play. This movie is a trip. I really liked it. Udo Kier, whom I love, has a small role. My Own Private Idaho is considered a landmark film in the new queer cinema movement. On the Town from 1949 is similar to Anchors Aweigh in that it follows sailors on shore leave looking for adventure and romance. Only this time there are 3 sailors, and Hollywood is traded in for New York City. This one is cute and fun, although I prefer Anchors Aweigh. Betty Garrett is a hoot as a lady taxi driver, and I learned what cooch dancer is. It's a burlesque style of belly dance. On the Town won the Academy Award for Best Musical Score. Orlando from 1992 follows the life of the title character, born a man in Elizabethan England, who lives for 300 years and at one point turns into a woman. This WTF film was one I thought I was really going to love, but it left me rather cold and confused. It's based on Virginia Woolf's novel of the same name. Aesthetically, Orlando has a unique visual style, and the art direction is fantastic. If there aren't any music videos that pay homage to this film, there should be. But I'm not going to recommend it to anyone other than diehard Tilda Swinton fans. The Perfection is a 2018 film I hadn't heard of until it appeared in my Netflix recommendations while searching for LGBTQ films. When a troubled musical prodigy seeks out the new star pupil of her former school, the encounter sends both musicians down a sinister path with shocking consequences. That's kind of vague, but this is a thriller with lots of horror elements. I loved it until 40 minutes in, then it did a trope. But I kept watching, and it did a couple of twists, and then I realized I'd watched the entire thing in my uncomfortable chair in one sitting. So yeah, overall, I really liked it. There is some body horror and bodily fluids, which I don't like, but which were important to the story, so it gets a pass. If you loved Allison Williams in Get Out or Megan, then put The Perfection on your to-be-watched list. 2003's Pirates of the Caribbean: The Curse of the Black Pearl introduced the world to Johnny Depp's Captain Jack Sparrow. This swashbuckling tale follows Pirate Sparrow as he and a resourceful blacksmith search for the governor's daughter, who's been kidnapped by a cursed pirate who plans to use her for a blood sacrifice. The movie was inspired by the popular Disney dark ride, and when it was announced, no one thought it would be good. But this is a wonderful film full of memorable moments and a winning cast. It's a real treasure. Pride, released in 2014, depicts the true story of a group of gay activists who raise money to help families affected by the 1984 British miners' strike. Due to my American education, I knew nothing about this before watching it. The story is truly inspiring, and the movie was directed with a light touch. It illustrates the importance of solidarity within groups, as well as between groups that seemingly have nothing in common. This fits well into the movies about unions category. The 2017 film A Rose Between Thorns was the first movie from the island nation of St. Kitts and Nevis. It follows a young couple navigating the pain and chaos their families bring into their lives. Trigger warning for scenes of assault. I can't say I enjoyed the movie, but I'm glad it exists, and I hope the country continues to produce features in the future. I watched 1983's Silkwood for a second time this year. The true story follows a worker at a plutonium processing plant who is purposefully contaminated, psychologically tortured, and possibly murdered to prevent her from exposing worker safety violations at the plant. Great performances by Meryl Streep as Karen Silkwood and Cher as her gay co-worker and housemate. This is definitely a favorite of mine, but since I already included it in my favorite slide for March, it won't appear again in the slide for June. Singin' in the Rain from 1952 is a musical comedy set in 1920s Hollywood, right when motion pictures transitioned from silent films to talkies. This is probably Gene Kelly's best. Even if you haven't seen the film, you're probably familiar with the title song and dance number. Kelly stars alongside Debbie Reynolds and Donald O'Connor. All the musical numbers are fun, but my favorite might be the fit as a fiddle choreography. Surprisingly, this was not nominated for a Best Picture Oscar. However, Jean Hagen, who played the tone-deaf actress Lena Lamont, was nominated for Best Supporting Actress. Singin' in the Rain received a WGA award for Best Written Musical and has been inducted into the National Film Registry. A Single Man from 2009 is fashion designer Tom Ford's feature film directorial debut. And what a debut! Based on the 1964 novel of the same name by Christopher Isherwood, the film follows a gay college professor who loses his partner in a car accident and plans to take his own life. Nicholas Hoult plays a student who brings Colin Firth's character back from the brink of death. And then, spoilers, but you have to see it to find out what happens. This is a gorgeous film, and I'm so glad I finally got to watch it. It had been recommended to me many years ago, but only became available for free on YouTube recently. Sordid Lives from 2000 is based on the award-winning 1996 play of the same name by writer-director Del Shores. The film tells the story of a Texas family coming together in the aftermath of the matriarch's death. It was shot on a Sony high-definition camera, so parts of the movie come across like a student film. It felt very stagey and play-like. I was surprised that a TV series based on the movie was greenlit. However, some of the actors really shone. Leslie Jordan, Delta Burke, and Olivia Newton-John. Although it's not one of my favorites, I'm still glad I saw it. The Sweetest Mango is a 2001 romantic comedy. It was the first feature produced in the country of Antigua and Barbuda. Based on a true story, the movie follows a woman readjusting to life in Antigua after an extended stay in Canada. I really enjoyed watching the actors in this film. However, the script leaned more on telling and not showing, and I wish the viewer could have seen some of the scenes that the characters were talking about. It was filled with music, and the music was great. Just like the St. Kitts and Nevis production, I'm glad this movie exists, and I hope the country continues to produce features in the future. 1980 brought the world Xanadu, a glitter explosion of a film. Xanadu follows the journey of a magical Greek muse in her quest to inspire a struggling artist to create the world's first roller disco. The script's not great, but the soundtrack is, and it spawned 5 hit singles. The biggest problem with the film is that there's absolutely no chemistry between the two leads, Olivia Newton-John and Michael Beck. This is Gene Kelly's final film, and all the Gene Kelly touches are here, as he helped choreograph his own dance numbers. While I can't recommend this one, I do own it and return to it every few years for the wonderful song and dance numbers. Zoolander was unfortunately released 2 weeks after the 9/11 attacks in 2001, and audiences weren't in the mood for this quirky, campy comedy. Dim-witted male model Derek Zoolander embarks on a journey of self-discovery to see if there's more to life than being really, really ridiculously good-looking. In order to fund the Derek Zoolander Center for Kids Who Can't Read Good and want to learn to do other stuff good too, he must work with evil mastermind Mugatu, whose MO is to brainwash Zoolander to kill the Prime Minister of Malaysia. This is my comfort film, one of the few I can quote. Ben Stiller co-produced, co-wrote, directed, and starred in the movie. What a talent. I kind of feel like watching it again right now. And that was it. In summary, I watched 35 films in June of 2023. 6 of the movies were shorts and 29 were features. 24 were new to me and 11 were rewatches. This was a great month. I heart these ones the most, though I could have added half a dozen more. Thank you for joining me for my June wrap-up. July is French American Heritage Month, and I have over 50 films to choose from. Until next time, happy viewing.